From Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown, this is Sports Bash presented by TicketBash.com. TicketBash.com, where memories are made affordable and where you'll never pay a service fee. Sports Bash is also presented by the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund, a group of like-minded individuals trying to raise awareness to our future generations of all possibilities of success other than just college. For more information, visit www.lookwhomadeit.org. Sports Bash is brought to you by the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Every customer is considered family at the Embassy Diner. Mention Sports Bash, get a free dessert with your meal. By Living Legends Memorabilia and Collectibles in Rockville Center, Long Island's go-to store for sports, entertainment, and political memorabilia since 1996. They're also available for charity auctions. Mention Sports Bash when you come in. Get a free autograph photo. Give Warren a call at 516-826-4000. Stay tuned later in the show. Find out about this week's Living Legends item of the week. And by the Marty Lyons Foundation, the official charity of Sports Bash Media. For more information, go to martylyonsfoundation.org. Hi again, everyone. I'm Peter Schwartz. A happy Thursday. Kind of a rainy, yucky, disgusting at times day outside. We had the snow. Now the rain is kind of washing away some of the snow, so it's a little yucky outside here on Long Island, but as long as it's not snowing, it's good. Just stay safe. Some of the roads may still be a little icy out there, so we'll try and get through this yucky, rainy afternoon and have a little fun talking sports here on the show. 516-465-3990 is the number to call. Make sure you're subscribing to Govs Comedy Club podcast on Sports Bash Media, YouTube, and following on Facebook and Instagram. So all the Govs Comedy Club and Sports Bash Media channels, you want to make sure you follow through with that. Coming up on the show, my good friend Joe Pantorno from AM New York is going to join us. We'll talk a little Mets with him, a little baseball, a little football as well, some Islanders hockey. I see Joe at Islanders games all the time in the press box. We like to yuck it up, and we'll yuck it up for you a little bit here on the show, coming up at around 1:20 in about 18 minutes from now. We're going to play Stump the Wiz. It's Thursday. Wiz, I busted his chops a little bit right before the show. He hit a little traffic, walked in at 12:58. I don't know if he thought I was serious or not, but I kind of said, walking in 2 minutes before the show. What kind of prep is that? But I was only busting your chops, right? Yeah, that's okay. There we go. So, but he's here, and we're going to have, and we do this now, because I want to try it, because he got into this comfort zone with Stump the Wiz, with a very general question generally all the time. And now we've tried to change things up a little bit with multi-part questions. Last week, I thought we had some fun with the first question, had to answer it and leave time for the second. And I think he got both of them. What was it, 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Last week?
Yeah.
You got both questions. So we're going to do something a little differently. I'm not going to tell you what it is now, but we're going to have a little fun again later on for Stump the Wiz. That's coming up later in the show. Wiz is also going to have This Week in Sports History, and we're going to check out the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. I wasn't planning on this when I woke up this morning, but there's no other way to start the show today with the news that broke this morning about the Jets officially moving on from Aaron Rodgers. Now, this news originally broke on Sunday during the Super Bowl, and I didn't get to this on Tuesday because we had John and Mark Cronin from John's Crazy Socks here as the FOPs for Tuesday, and I didn't really talk much about the Super Bowl. I don't think we even brought up the Super Bowl on Tuesday with John and Mark. We talked a little bit about the Jets with him and Mark, with John and Mark, but I didn't really get into the Super Bowl at all on Tuesday, just because, as I said last week, I didn't give a crap about the Super Bowl. It just wasn't something that I was all excited about. It was a crappy game. The food was good that we had. That we had, so that part of it was good, but the game obviously sucked. But the one thing that I wasn't comfortable with, and I should have brought it up on Tuesday if I had a chance, we didn't have a chance to do it. And it's relative to this Aaron Rodgers news. And the news broke during the Super Bowl pregame show. Jay Glazer on Fox broke the news that the Jets were going to move on. Aaron Rodgers had flown back to New Jersey, and they were told by the Jets brass, the new brass, Darren Muji, and also Aaron Glenn, that they were going to move on. And I didn't care for the fact that that kind of news was broken during the Super Bowl. And it to me, it reeked of, remember when Alex Rodriguez opted out of his contract during the World Series? And it really took, it was really douchey that they did that. That Alex Rodriguez came, remember he, like, oh, that was my agent, I didn't have anything to do with it. Baloney. That was an Alex Rodriguez sideshow, opting out of your contract with the New York Yankees during the World Series. And I want to say the Red Sox were about to win the World Series. I think it was the Red Sox in the World Series. So I didn't like that back then. I thought it was a douche move by Alex Rodriguez back then. And this time around, now I don't know who leaked the Aaron Rodgers news to Jay Glazer on Sunday. Either way, again, I don't use that kind of language that often here on the show, but if Aaron Rodgers leaked that news to Jay Glazer, douche move by him. If it was the Jets who leaked that information to Jay Glazer, douche move by them. It's not something that you break the day of the most important game of the season, the biggest game of the season, the biggest show that the NFL has to offer, and that's the Super Bowl. Whether you were into the game or not, that wasn't Aaron Rodgers' day. That was the Chiefs and the Eagles' day. And ultimately, it was the Eagles' day for winning the Super Bowl. So I didn't like it when Alex Rodriguez did it years ago. I didn't like it that it came out on Sunday during the Super Bowl. But irregardless of when it came out, today it became official. The Jets are moving on from Aaron Rodgers after 2 seasons and what turned out to be one of the biggest duds in New York sports history. And when Aaron Rodgers came here, he was supposed to be the savior and the guy who was finally going to be, the quarterback that got the Jets to the promised land. And he came here with all kinds of fanfare. And there's one side of the coin you can look back. Aaron Rodgers had a choice to make 2 years ago. He could have retired, or he could have come back to play, and the Packers would have traded him. And obviously he wanted to play, and he wanted to play for the Jets. And for that reason, I appreciate Aaron Rodgers. I do. Because he didn't have to pick the Jets. He could have said, I wanted to go there, or I wanted to go there. He wanted to be the guy who helped the Jets finally win a Super Bowl, or at least get to a Super Bowl. And it just didn't work out. And it didn't work out for a number of reasons. Obviously, the torn Achilles on opening night 4 plays in, not this past season, but last year. And you give Aaron Rodgers all the credit in the world for fighting back and coming back faster than anybody could have imagined from a torn Achilles. And, by the end of the season, he was participating in practice. Didn't really sound like he was even going to come back and play. There were some rumors, remember, late last season, if the Jets found their way into the playoffs, maybe he would have come back. I don't know if that really would have ever happened, but that's you have to give him credit at the age of 40, 41, whatever it was last year, that he was able to come back from the torn Achilles. And he comes back this year. Of course, before the season, there was that whole issue where he missed some time. He missed the mandatory minicamp to go off to Egypt, and the Jets had to fine him. I mean, that's Aaron Rodgers. He does his thing. He marches to his own beat of his own drum. But again, you look at his entire body of work this past season, and he had one of the great statistical seasons in the history of the New York Jets in terms of quarterback play. But you had this faction of people, you got to get rid of him. Get rid of him. He's a cancer. Get rid of him. But the players loved him. There were people around the office didn't care for him. They didn't care for going on the McAfee show, all that stuff. But the players, every time you heard about the players all loved him. He was a great teammate. I mean, you kept hearing all these things that he was doing, and you heard bad things about him on social media, but he was this great teammate. They loved him. But people in the office didn't like him. People in the organization didn't care for him. So the new regime takes over, and they have determined now that they're going to go forward without Aaron Rodgers. Now, I wanted him to come back. I made that clear here on the show. I remember Joe Beningo was on with me, some weeks ago, and we were both in agreement. And when I do updates on his show on The Fan, we were in agreement on it there too. I've had other people on the show. Eric Coleman was on with us last week. We both agreed that Aaron Rodgers should come back. But obviously, when you bring in a new regime, and Aaron Glenn has said this, he said it at his press conference, this is now about sustained success. This is not about just making the playoffs next year. Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn are about building the Jets into a Super Bowl contender and having sustained success, not just about the 2025 season. And here's, unfortunately, if you're a Jets fan, now this is what the Jets are telling us right now as Jet fans. By not bringing back Aaron Rodgers, by not bringing him back, it says that they don't care whether they make the playoffs or not next year. Not that they don't care, but the objective here now is just not to make the playoffs next year. The objective here is to build the Jets into a Super Bowl contender. If Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji came in this year and said, you know what, we look at this roster, this is a team that should have been in the we don't know what happened with that coaching staff and with what went on. This is a roster that should make the playoffs. So we'll bring Aaron Rodgers back, and we'll draft a quarterback in the second round probably, because by the time they pick, all the good quarterbacks will be gone probably. So we'll draft a quarterback in the second round. We'll have Aaron Rodgers around for one more year, tutor him, and then the hope is you get the Jets into the playoffs. And if you don't, if the Jets are trending towards not making the playoffs, you could do what the Giants did when Kurt Warner was their quarterback, and he started that season, and eventually Eli Manning became the Giants' starting quarterback. Remember, Eli was terrible that first year, but they had Kurt Warner mentor him, and then he came in late in the season. Eli did. And, of course, we know what happened after that, 2 Super Bowls, and it all worked out. But the Jets decided not to go that route here with Aaron Rodgers, and they wanted a fresh start, a clean break, and it'll probably be a post-June 1st designation, which means the Jets will get a little bit of a break on the salary cap hit. They're going to take a massive hit this year, which will probably be lessened if it's after June 1st, but there'll be a big cap hit next year, and I think there'll be something the year after that. But if you're the new regime, you want to get a fresh start and go find your quarterback. And the thing that will bother me about this, if the Jets wind up getting Kirk Cousins to be their quarterback, I'm going to throw up more than I threw up when I had a stomach virus a couple of weeks ago. Because if you're going to go and sign Kirk Cousins, why don't you just keep Aaron Rodgers? Again, and not to sound like a broken record, but Aaron Rodgers, look at his body of work this past year. He had one of the great quarterback statistical seasons in the history of the Jets. So I understand there's outside things that come with having Aaron Rodgers on your team. But you're going to if they sign Kirk Cousins, listen, I don't curse very often, but you'll want to tune into this show if they sign Kirk Cousins, because I'm going to let it rip if they sign Kirk Cousins. And I know Wiz is looking at me because he wants to explode on me now because Kirk Cousins has been the Falcons quarterback. Like, you're going to tell me that the Jets would be better off for a season with Kirk Cousins as your quarterback than Aaron Rodgers? What are we doing here if that's actually what's going on? I literally will have a hizzy fit on this show if the Jets... You're laughing, Tony, because you know it's right. You want to see it. Yeah. You are now praying for the Jets to sign Kirk Cousins.
Yes, I am.
You are, because you want to see me lose my S on the show.
Yes.
And you want to see it too. You're nodding like a fifth grader there. I didn't tell you to speak. I feel better with Justin Fields. At least he's 25 years old. Stop doing that. Stop nodding every time you agree with something. It really messes me up. Turn the other way. We'll send you into the giggle room if you're going to do that. Tony, can you have the keys to the giggle room? Can you get?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Just Wiz. He's nodding like howdy doody every time I say something he agrees with. You're laughing because you know it's true, right? There you go. You'll get plenty of time to speak later. So I don't. Please, no Kirk Cousins. I'd rather have Tyrod Taylor play next year and draft the quarterback. If you're going to lose, do I have to lose looking at Kirk Cousins? Come on, man. I just would have felt a whole lot better if they had kept Aaron Rodgers around for one more season. But I know they want to split the cap hit over the couple of years. Well, what do you think as a Jets fan? I will take your calls later in the show at 516-465-3990. Are you happy with this? Did you want Aaron Rodgers to leave? I'll tell you this, watching social media on Sunday during the Super Bowl when this news broke, a lot of Jet fans are as pissed off as I am about this. I wanted him back. There was part of me, I was with my son in Dick's Sporting Goods last week, and all the Aaron Rodgers stuff was on sale for like 50% off. And I thought about buying an Aaron Rodgers jersey. I'm like, wouldn't it be great if I got this Aaron Rodgers jersey at half price? And then they wind up bringing him back, and now they got to go back and reprice everything, and you just got this Aaron Rodgers jersey. Now they're all over Marshalls everywhere. Now if you still want like a nice Jets souvenir from the last couple of years, you can go to Marshalls and get an Aaron Rodgers jersey for like $20 or $30. And look, he was a Jet for a couple of years, so it's like it's not like he's not part of Jets history. He is. For two unspectacular two more non-playoff seasons, Aaron Rodgers was a New York Jet. I just don't want Kirk Cousins. Give me Justin Fields. I'll tell you what, and you're going to think I'm nuts. I'd rather have Daniel Jones be the Jets starting quarterback next year than Kirk Cousins. Because at least you can give Daniel Jones the benefit of the doubt that the Giants' offensive line this past season absolutely sucked. And the Jets' offensive line was better. It could be better next year, too, if they make some more moves. But I would almost rather have Daniel Jones as the Jets' starting quarterback next year than Kirk Cousins. What are we doing here that we would want to go get Kirk Cousins? So I hope that doesn't happen. And there's so many other things to talk about. We can talk about the Jets. We can talk about the Islanders and the Rangers. The Four Nations face-off started last night. What a game between Finland and Canada last night that went to overtime. I love these international hockey competitions, and they're going to bring the World Cup of Hockey back in 2028, which is going to be great. I hope UBS Arena can get some of those games in 2028. Those are phenomenal. I've been to World Cup of Hockey games and Canada Cup games in my life. They are the absolute best, and I can't wait to see the USA playing tonight, their first game in the Four Nations face-off. And we will talk about all of those things and more with Joe Pantorno from AM New York when we come back with more Sports Bash right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
Living Legends memorabilia and collectibles is the best place to find autographed entertainment and sports memorabilia. We guarantee the authenticity of each and every item in our shop to provide you with quality collectibles anytime you browse our inventory. Our memorabilia includes autographed photos, sports equipment, jerseys, hats, and other paraphernalia from current athletes and legendary sports stars. If you prefer the entertainment industry, we have signed posters, albums, and photographs from classic movie stars and today's celebrities. To give back to our community, we participate in fundraising auctions for local charities. Call us today to request a specific autograph. find a special gift for someone else, or schedule an event. Living Legends Memorabilia and Collectibles.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. I'm Peter Schwartz. Thanks for joining us. 516-465-3990 is the number to call. We'll take your phone calls later on in the program. This segment of Sports Bash is presented by the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund, a group of like-minded individuals trying to raise awareness to our future generations of all possibilities of success other than just college. For more information, visit www.lookWhoMadeIt.org. Last night, I had the opportunity to speak at the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund monthly meeting at the Piermont in Babylon, getting a chance to talk in front of high school and college, potential college students about my career and how to get started in the workplace. So that was actually a lot of fun last night. I was representing Sports Bash Media and also the new Long Island Arena football team that I am the general manager for starting this season. So we've been talking about that a lot on the show, but it was great to talk at that meeting last night at the Piermont in Babylon. Lots to talk about in the sports world here on the show today, and no better person for me to chat about everything going on in the world of sports than my good friend Joe Pantorno, the sports editor at AM New York. And Joe joins us here on Sports Bash. Joe, it's Peter. How are you?
Pete, I'm doing well. How are you? Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, thanks for joining us. Do you have video on your phone? Did you intend to have video? Because we can't see you.
I just wasn't sure if that was allowed.
There you go. We want to see that handsome face of yours.
I apologize to everybody in advance.
Oh, I thought maybe the young man was, like running loose around the house, and you didn't want him to get on television. But no, we want to see you.
Oh well, I do appreciate that. But yes, thankfully he's upstairs, so I have a little bit.
Let me start with that, because throughout the process, you and I caucused a lot at Islanders practice and Islander games and other things about when you were about to become a father, and now you've been a father, and as I've told you many times, it's one of the great jobs you'll ever have in the world. What's it been like, fatherhood, the first time around?
It provides a new perspective on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And it is truly something else to start, living for somebody other than yourself. That's what I kind of always say. And it's really, it's such a privilege to, have someone who is, part you and part my wife, and just to see him kind of growing up, even though it's only been 9 months, just to see how much he's grown up in such a short time. It really is one of the most rewarding experiences, probably the most rewarding experience of my life so far.
I think I've told you this off the air, but I'll repeat it on the air. My wife, Cheryl, has a great line about parenthood. When you have a baby, whether it's a boy or a girl, and we have 2 boys, Bradley and Jared, but you can't wait for them. This is what my wife's line. I'm stealing my wife's line here. You can't wait for them to walk and talk so you can tell them to sit down and shut up.
I can probably see how that's going to be the case, though I do look forward to him at least talking so he can tell us what's wrong.
And he can complain about, the Jets, and he can complain about the, I don't even know if you're I don't think we've ever talked about. I know you're a Mets fan. I know you're an Islanders fan. But it'll be great when your son is of age and you can have these great, sports conversations about how unhappy we are.
Yeah, I think I'm going to just let him make those choices of who to be unhappy about towards. So
yeah.
He does choose his teams.
Yeah.
We'll do my toward him regardless.
I got you. And again, congratulations to you and your wife. It's a wonderful job and responsibility to have. Challenging at times, but definitely a wonderful job to have. I didn't have the Jets on the script here to talk to you about. I wanted to talk a lot about the Mets and the Islanders, and we're going to get to that in a couple of minutes. But obviously the breaking news today that the Jets are moving on from Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if you heard my opening comments on the monologue about it. Your thoughts on the Jets moving on with their new regime from Aaron Rodgers this season?
Yeah, it's completely understandable, especially when you're bringing in a new regime here. And this isn't something that's just exclusive to the Jets too. any sort of new leadership that comes in here is going to want to go with their guys. I think we all saw the writing on the wall that this was going to happen. I think part of me is surprised that they made this call that early, but I think it is, kudos to them for sort of putting their foot down now and setting the tone and stating their intent, at least in that regard. And then comes the search, and it certainly is an uncertain search of who's going to be the man under center, at least for next year. So
I just hope it's not Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I did hear that part, and I for your sake and perhaps the sake of your coworkers, that does not happen, because I would fear for them. I would.
Yeah, there could be some things broken in the studio if that happens. The next show after they sign him. I kind of got this message across before, and this is kind of how I feel. But the Jets haven't made the playoffs for 14 straight years, and if you have the new regime coming in, and your mission statement and your objective is to make the playoffs and end that streak, I think they bring Aaron Rodgers back. However, when you hear Aaron Glenn talking about sustained success and what he went through in helping the Lions become the team that they are now, it's almost as if they want to wipe the clean slate and get started from scratch, which will tell Jet fans you're probably going to have a 15th straight non-playoff season.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, most of the playoff hopes will predicate on a quarterback, obviously, but I think there's something to be said in at least creating a team that teases contention and might not have the answer at quarterback, and that's certainly possible. I mean, we've seen teams succeed with nothing more than game managers, and there's no better person to kind of bring in to execute this turnaround than somebody like Aaron Glenn, who's done it as a player in obviously this city, and then he's done it in one of the most deprived football markets in the country. So I think there's something to be said about the culture that is going to be built here. And if he can kind of get the right people in the building, which I don't think I would doubt, you could see the Jets taking a pretty significant step forward, even if 2025 does bring nothing more than a bridge quarterback.
Yeah, it's you'd like to at least see them compete, have a shot at making the playoffs next year. But I think the new regime is a breath of fresh air, and we'll see, how it winds up, turning out for the Jets. And also, obviously the Giants have their own problems, so we'll see. But enough about football. Let's get on to something that's about to start and made a lot of people in this area very, very happy this past season, especially in October. And that's baseball, with the Mets, going on this miracle run. I don't know if miracle was the right word, but like shocking run to the National League Championship Series. The Yankees, of course, going on to the World Series. And now the two teams have collected themselves at spring training in Port St. Lucie for the Mets, Tampa for the Yankees. It's always exciting. I think it's when baseball season is about to start and they report the spring training, you hear pitchers and catchers, and then the full rosters come next week. It's probably the most excited that sports fans get when spring training is here and baseball is about to start. And here in New York, after what we had last year, it's even more exciting this season because now the bar has been raised and you have high expectations for both teams.
Yeah, I will always say it, and I'll die on this hill. New York is a baseball town first. And this city does not get much better when both teams are good at the same time. And however rare that might have been, at least in my lifetime over the last 30 plus years, it's going to be pretty common now. So, I'd like to think that we're on the precipice of a new dimension of this, rivalry here. So I really do think that there are big things ahead for both teams. Maybe those big things and that success is going to look a little different for each franchise. But yeah, this is sort of a golden age here that, might be, hopefully, if we're lucky, comparable to what, I was told and the stories I was told about the golden age of New York baseball in the 50s, where we're going to have two New York teams that are the absolute class of Major League Baseball here. And
maybe we're trending towards what we had in 2000, and that was the first Subway Series in a very, very long time. And even the year before, the Mets got to Game 6 of the NLCS against the Braves. We almost had back-to-back Subway Series, and I guess that's where the momentum is now going now to see if the Mets and Yankees can eventually square off in the Fall Classic. Let's start specifically with the Mets, and obviously it was a very interesting offseason for the Mets. They signed Juan Soto away from the Yankees with that mammoth contract. They lose Luis Severino, but then Met fans are happy a few days ago when the news came that Pete Alonso came back on a 2-year deal. When you capsulize the entire Mets postseason, the ups and downs, and I know a lot of people are not happy that Jose Iglesias is not coming back, but when you think about the Mets offseason in totality, how do you sum it up?
Yeah, this is I don't think it's anything short of success. They really just, I think most people would have considered it a success if they had just kind of come away with Juan Soto. But to do that, to sort of state their intention, on the city's baseball landscape and in Major League Baseball's landscape, to sort of tell everybody that, hey, we're a major player here, and no longer is this going to be a franchise that's either going to be overlooked or used as a bargaining chip in a way. And again, this is really the first time ever since really Steve Cohen showed up, but specifically with the hiring of David Stearns, this is really the first time that adults are running the show with the Mets.
Yeah.
Especially, for the first time in a long time after, the saga with the Wilpon family and how everything ended with them. So, David Stearns obviously has this highly regarded baseball mind, and he built consistent contenders with a small market Brewers team. And now we finally saw what he could do with the financial backing of a big market club. And for him to come away with Juan Soto and to sort of come back, and obviously retaining Pete Alonso and to bring back Sean Manaea, those are significant moves. He did well to address the depth of the rotation and to tweak the bullpen. But obviously the biggest question mark surrounding this team entering the regular season is that starting rotation. And
no question.
While, Kodai Senga is going to be healthy and all signs point to him having a full season, you're kind of looking to see if they were going to come away with a 1A. And Stearns yesterday said that for the most part, they're going to be done this offseason in terms of really big moves. So that kind of takes them out on the Dylan Cease market, or I guess any other, I don't want to use the word blockbuster, but a big move to perhaps bring in that other frontline starter. So I really think that the only thing holding back this team potentially is that rotation, because everything else is right there to, I don't want to use the word World Series contention or that phrase, just because the Dodgers exist, but they should be in the conversation for at least a pennant.
Absolutely. No question about it. And that is the hope, that the Mets can take that next step and unseat the Dodgers in the National League and see if they can get to the Fall Classic. Joe Pantorno from AM New York is my guest here on Sports Bash on this Thursday. I mentioned Pete Alonso before as part of the Mets, off-season to-do list. And I don't know how you felt about it. I felt all along that Pete Alonso was going to be back with the Mets. And again, I have no, not my situation to have, as you know, I'm a Yankees fan, but I always felt that Pete Alonso was going to be back with the Mets. By hook or by crook, they were going to figure out a way to do it. Now, it didn't look good for a while, but I was then reconvinced it was going to happen when Steve Cohen made those comments at Amazing Day that he was not happy with the direction of the negotiations. They were very difficult. He didn't like it. Once those words came out of his mouth, I remember saying to my son, Pete Alonso is going to be a Met here in a couple of days. They're going to get this thing figured out, and sure enough, that's what happened. Did you feel the same way all along, that he was eventually going to be back with the Mets?
No, not necessarily. And I think entering the offseason, his market, or at least a perception of his market, was significantly different, where you thought he was going to get that 6 or 7 year deal. I think it was really the money that it was going to come down to. I don't think anybody was ever going to offer him that $200 million dream that Scott Boras sold him.
Yeah.
But if a bidding war commenced, he was probably going to get up there, whether you thought it was 175, 180, even 190. And considering that you have these teams in recent years who have tried to pull off these blockbuster signings and they have this money to spend, whether it be the Blue Jays, whether it be the Giants. The Red Sox obviously have thrown their hat back into the spending ring this offseason. You thought that potentially somebody would come in and drive up his market. But the longer things got and the longer we got into winter, and as soon as this revelation came out that nobody was willing to give him a long-term offer, to me at least, that even the playing fields for the Mets, where I thought, okay, they were going to draw a hard line in the sand, and they said, okay, and this is all just speculation on my part. I thought that they would offer him maybe a 5 or 6 year deal, and they'd draw their line in the sand and not go above it. And if you left for, greener pastures and a bigger payday, so be it. But as soon as we started hearing that he'd be willing to take a 3-year deal, or that he was going to give the Mets exclusive negotiating rights for that 3-year deal plus an opt-out, you thought it was going to happen. And even though when he initially turned down that 3 by $70 million deal, what was it, maybe a month and a half ago, you still thought that I still was going to put it 60-40 in favor of the Mets for him to come back, because the Blue Jays weren't going to offer him a comparable deal because we obviously know the tax loopholes that they have to jump through. And the Giants were never really there, and the Angels of all teams were super loosely linked, and the Red Sox too, but they started kind of pursuing Alex Bregman, which they pulled off yesterday. So the market was non-existent for him. So yeah, I would say probably, especially the last month of the saga, it was, to me at least, it was Mets or nowhere.
You mentioned Alex Bregman, and that's a perfect transition to talking about the Yankees as they try to get back to the World Series. But the Yankees still need a third baseman, and I really thought there was a chance during the offseason that the Yankees would pull the trigger and get Alex Bregman to the Bronx. Obviously, that's not happening. He's now a Boston Red Sox. They could re-engage with the Cardinals about Nolan Arenado. They could keep it in-house with Oswaldo Cabrera. When you look at the Yankees now, and really the only thing that they need to fill before the season starts is maybe finding a third baseman. How do you look at that, and who do you see playing third base for the Yankees when the season opens?
Yeah, this was really kind of tricky because you would think that they'd have these bases sort of covered by now. And at least to me, I thought that engaging in talks with the Cardinals would have been pretty beneficial, because you obviously know what you're getting in Nolan Arenado defensively. You put him in a lineup with Aaron Judge, and you think that there's probably enough support where you would see his offensive production sort of maybe boost up a little bit compared to last year. You would like to think that it was more of an anomaly.
Right.
I do think that comes, or all of those talks or potential thoughts of a deal, it's contingent on whether the Cardinals would have been willing to eat Marcus Stroman's contract. They're obviously not willing to do that, so I personally don't see that happening. But they do have the right idea in having Jazz Chisholm kind of return to his natural position. And then they're putting a lot of stock in, again, Oswaldo Cabrera, or are they going to try and ask a lot of DJ LeMahieu this year?
You can't bank on that, Joe. I mean, the guy gets hurt all the time.
Exactly. So it's a really dangerous game to play. And the way this roster construction has worked has sort of lent us the idea that success for the Yankees in 2025 is going to look a lot different than what it used to be. The most successful Yankees teams we know are these overwhelming, powerful lineups, and they'll score 5.5, 6 runs a game, and they'll blitz their opponent to death. This time around, I mean, they have probably one of the most fearsome trios atop their starting rotation in the American League, if not Major League Baseball, and their bullpen should be, again on paper, nothing short of dominant. So this is going to be a different looking Yankees team where success is going to come from being able to win those low scoring games and those 1-run games. And it might not be the most attractive version of Yankees baseball, but they're still going to win 90 games this year. And they're still going to challenge the Orioles for the AL East. And they're still going to be a favorite to win the American League because they have the luxury of being in, I would say, the more shallow.
Yeah, they're in the JV. They're in the JV when it comes to the competition, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a perfect time for sort of, obviously you don't want this as a fan to sort of be the case, but if there was, this is the time to do this because the American League is overwhelmingly winnable.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't let you go without at least touching on the Islanders and hockey, and I mentioned it earlier. The Four Nations face-off is underway after last night, and the United States plays their first game tonight, and we'll see the Islanders, Brock Nelson, in the lineup for Team USA, and how much longer we'll see Brock Nelson in an Islanders uniform remains to be seen. There's been some talk that they're talking about a 3-year extension. You'd hate to see the Islanders lose him for nothing. Now, they're in a tricky spot here because they've gotten themselves back into the conversation for a playoff spot. When you look at the Brock Nelson, even the Kyle Palmieri situation, you're the Islanders right now trying to make the playoffs. Are you pulling the trigger on getting rid of them, or if you're Lou Lamoriello, do you become buyers and try and get this team in the playoffs?
Yeah, this is the sort of limbo that they found themselves in the last 2 or 3 years now, and it's not an enviable position to be in. Just by going off track record, Lou Lamoriello is not the kind of guy that's going to sell if there's even the faintest hope of getting into. So one would think that either talks during this Four Nations break between the Islanders and Nelson's representation go so south that there's no avenue of him, re-signing with the team. That would sort of be all the show that you need that, okay, we have to trade him or we're going to lose him for nothing. And
we don't want a John Tavares situation again.
Right. But again, props to Nelson. He's been non-committal about the whole thing. He hasn't, sworn his love for the Islanders and he wants to be here up and down. So that at least isn't necessarily setting up the fan base for this potential disappointment. That being said, if, there's any sort of glimmer of hope that the Islanders can re-sign him and they don't completely nosedive when they get back from the break, I would be, shocked if either, Nelson or Palmieri were dealt. I don't know if they would be buyers. The cap is tricky and the injury issues and the guys that they brought in, it's kind of been a revolving door. But it's sort of a wait and see mentality for them, and it's not sustainable, obviously. I mean, This is year 3 of doing this, and you and I are both agreeing here that this quote unquote championship window that they had maybe 4 or 5 years ago closed 3 years ago. It's one of those things where significant changes have to be made at some point. It's just how much longer is Lamoriello gonna hold on to it, and
how much longer is Lou going to be the one in charge too?
Yeah, that's a great question, and obviously none of us will ever have the slightest idea. And we could think that he can do this for 5 more years, and he could say, okay, tomorrow, but that's obviously not the case. I would say he would do this for 5 to 10 more years if I was a Batman, but obviously
Lou is a child at heart. I shouldn't say a child, a young man at heart, even though at his extended age. Joe, thank you so much for joining me on the show. I'm going to guess the next time I see you will be Islanders Rangers on February 25th, right?
Yeah, that's probably right. Yeah.
I think that's the next time I'm going to see you. Well, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the week and the weekend, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for having me, and thank you, guys. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Joe Pantorno from AM New York. When we come back here on the program, a double dose of Stump the Wiz. We'll have This Week in Sports History, Sports Bash Media poll question, tell you about Tuesday's show. We're coming back right after this.
In 1982, the Marty Lyons Foundation began with a single heartfelt mission: to bring moments of joy and hope to critically ill children by granting wishes that make their dreams come true. Since that day, we have touched the lives of over 8,500 families, raising over $43 million to grant wishes that offer a beacon of light in their darkest times. These precious wishes cost an average of $6,700 each, and your support is crucial to our mission. Every donation, big or small, makes a difference. And with 76 cents of every dollar going directly to supporting our families, you can rest assured your support truly changes lives. The Morning Lions Foundation operates 11 chapters in 14 states now, working tirelessly to reach as many children as we can. This dedication goes hand in hand with our commitment to transparency and accountability, earning us top ratings on Charity Navigator, Great Nonprofits, and Candid, which underscores our dedication to those we serve. The Marty Lyons Foundation grants wishes to children ages 3 to 17. And what really makes this foundation so special is our willingness to grant not only a first wish, but also consider a second wish to a child who continues to battle a life-threatening illness. We stand by these children, offering them hope and strength through the power of dreams, giving our children the courage to wish for more.
What's your purpose in life? Is your purpose in life to live in the big house and drive the nice car? No. Your purpose in this life is to make it a little bit better for those that follow and realize that we live for today to see a better tomorrow.
Visit MartyLyonsFoundation.org to learn more and get involved.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com and the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. I'm Peter Schwartz. Welcome back to the show. Again, thanks to Joe Pantorno of AM New York for joining us here on the show. Welcome to Wiz. Always great to have you here and bust your chops. I love doing that. I love the fact that you have learned how to take it a little bit better than maybe you did earlier on.
That's fine.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
We're doing a double dose of Stump the Wiz today.
Ooh, double dose.
So, here's what we're going to do. The first question is the legitimate Stump the Wiz question for the week.
Okay.
It's a legitimate question sent in by a legitimate person with a legitimate prize.
Okay, that sounds...
After we do that and we determine whether you win or lose this week...
Legitimately?
We're going to... Legitimately. We're going to have a bonus question. We'll try something different, but I'm not telling you what that is just now. It'll be another question, and we'll see how that works. And maybe we'll canvass people to send in questions that way.
Okay.
It's my own question that I came up with or found out. So we'll do that in a little bit. But first, we're going to have 2 minutes on the clock. Today's prize, 2 tickets for a mutually agreed upon 2025 New York Mets home game at Citi Field. And today's contestant is Joseph Antonelli from Maspeth. All right? So good luck to Joseph. Good luck to Wiz. We'll see what happens. And again, the question, who is the only player in Major League Baseball history to hit a grand slam righty and lefty in the same game? The only player in baseball history, Major League Baseball history, to hit a grand slam righty and lefty in the same game. We have 2 minutes on the clock, and away we go.
So I got to think of a switch hitter.
Yeah, that's a good way to start. The smoke is coming out of his head. Yes. We have touched the nerve. Are we going to have a guess here at any point?
I'm guessing, I'm going to say Beltran.
That's incorrect.
Okay, I had to get that one out of the way.
Okay.
Minute 30.
Minute and 30. 90 seconds to go.
Trying to think of switch hitters. Trying to look at my Rolodex of switch hitters to see which one. Is person in the Hall of Fame?
No. No. The only player in Major League Baseball history to hit a grand slam righty and lefty in the same game. I can't ask Tony if he knows the answer because he knows the answer. He sees it in the script.
I do remember it, though.
You do remember, right? So it's not shocking to you that that was who it was.
Right. 1 minute.
1 minute to go in the question number 1.
Someone I would not expect.
I mean, I have stopped trying to figure out what goes on in your brain, so I don't know what the answer to your question is there. But I'm still looking for an answer to mine.
40 seconds.
Who was a switch hitter?
40 seconds to go. It sounds like
Trying to think of switch hitters.
Joseph Antonelli from Maspeth. I don't know if he's a Met fan or a Yankee fan, but and if he's a Yankee fan, maybe we can talk to ticketbash.com, who is going to give away the tickets. If you're a Yankee fan, we can get a mutually agreed upon Yankee game in 2025.
I mean, I don't really think of many switch hitters. I usually think of them predominantly as righties or lefties.
15 seconds.
15 seconds to go.
No,
it's not. Answer's not.
Delgado wasn't a switch hitter, was he?
5 seconds.
No, I was thinking he was a switch hitter.
3, 2, 1.
And the Wiz has been stumped. Congratulations to Joseph Antonelli from Maspeth. You are going to see a mutually agreed upon Mets home game. 2 tickets for that at Citi Field, courtesy of ticketbash.com. Let us know if you're a Yankees fan, and we can change that to a mutually agreed upon Yankee game in 2025. So the answer to that question, Bill Miller of the Boston Red Sox on July 29th, 2003, he actually hit 3 home runs in that game. A solo home run in the 3rd inning and grand slams in the 7th and 8th inning. I don't know which one he hit lefty, which one he hit righty, but he hit grand slams in the 7th and 8th inning. Did Bill Miller's name at any point during those 2 minutes come into your mind?
I was thinking it might have something to do with no, not really. I knew it was. Okay. I knew it might have been an American League game, but I wasn't sure about whether or not it was against.
Okay.
That's all.
All right, there you go. Now, here's what we're going to do now. This is just a trial run. This is not going to count towards your status here or record. I just want, this is for my own self-amusement. We're going to reset the clock at 2 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And we're going to do a second question. This is for no other reason but my satisfaction and my curiosity. We're going to 5 questions. So we're going to give you a question. You get it right, we stop the clock. This is kind of like the end of Name That Tune, where you get a question, clock stops, you go on to the next question. You ready? 5 questions. We'll see if this works out, and if it works out, if it's entertaining, we'll canvass our listeners and viewers to send in questions this way. But Tony is very important in this matter, too, because he's going to have the trigger finger to start and stop the clock when the question is... Now, if the question is not correct, the clock keeps going. So the whole idea is to try and keep as much time for all 5 questions, okay? You can pass if you want to go back, just like in Name That Tune. If you don't know the answer right off the bat, say pass. We'll stop the clock. We'll go to the next question, okay? Are you good?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. 2 minutes are on the clock. And, again, same thing with the way we go, okay? When I give the first question. Question number 1. In boxing... What is an illegal punch to the back of the head called? 2 minutes on the clock. Away we go.
Pass.
Stop the clock.
Okay.
We'll get back to that question in a couple of minutes at the end if you have to think about it. Second question. How many numbers are on a dartboard? Away we go.
Let's see, numbers. I think it's like 24.
That's incorrect.
I feel like it's in the 20s. Like the numbers, like each
right,
or counting them all.
Okay, so pick a number.
28.
28? Did you say? That's incorrect.
Oh, like
this would be a good time to pass.
Yeah, pass.
All right, pass. Stop the clock. How much time do we have left?
Minute 24.
Minute and 24. You still have to get all 5 questions correct.
Okay.
Question number 3. Tony, are you enjoying this version of Stump the Wiz?
I am, but I feel bad. He's feeling the pressure.
Yeah, he's feeling the pressure. But there should be no pressure because this doesn't count against your record. This is a trial run.
Yeah, I know.
This is like the Food and Drug Administration's, trying to figure out if something is going to work with a new drug or something like that. Okay.
That's just like that.
Tony. All right, here we go. Question number 3. What is another name for a soccer field?
A pitch.
Away we go. Stop the clock. He's correct. Pitch.
Yes.
Very good. Very nice. You got the third question. Remember, we still have to go back and answer questions 1 and 2. Question number 4. In bowling, what is it called when you get 3 strikes in a row? And away we go.
Turkey.
Stop the clock. He's correct. Questions 3 and 4. Handled successfully. Time remaining, sir.
It was around a minute 15, I believe, somewhere.
A minute and 15.
Yeah.
But we can't see it until you start the clock.
Correct.
There we go. Thank you. Technology here at the
Sorry.
Governor's Comedy Club podcast channel. Here we go. Question number 5. Ready? Name all 5 colors of the Olympic rings. And away we go.
Black, blue, red, green, yellow.
Got it. Stop the clock. He's correct.
Minute 12.
You've got a minute 12. It's still very doable, Wiz. Still very doable. Here we go. Back to question number 1. In boxing, what is an illegal punch to the back of the head called? And away we go.
Legal punch to the back of the head. It's not a spike, is it?
No, it's not. Bugs Bunny would be so disappointed.
Yes, you would.
Doc?
No. And that's not even a Back to the Future question either with Doc. Time remaining.
45
You could
seconds.
pass and go to question 2.
2.
Pass. Stop the clock, please. How much time remaining?
44 seconds.
44 seconds. Let's go back to question 2. You seemed to get close on this one before, and you just couldn't come up with the right one. But here we go. How many numbers are on a dartboard? And away we go.
30.
That's incorrect. You were closer before in the first round.
26.
No, that's incorrect as well.
Oh, and 29.
No, you're going in. You're like, this is like the hot and cold game. Like, you're very cold then.
27.
That's incorrect.
25 seconds.
25 seconds to go.
29.
No, you guessed 29 a few seconds ago.
If I was closer when it came to
No,
20
you're way off. You're too high.
18.
Nope.
10 seconds.
10 seconds to go.
I don't know. 22.
That's incorrect. 4 seconds to go.
Yep. 3, 2, 1.
Well, you did a good job. You got questions 3, 4, and 5 correctly. 1 and 2, I guess, we're giving you a whole lot of trouble. I gave you that Bugs Bunny hint on the boxing question, an illegal punch to the back of the head. It's a rabbit punch.
Oh.
So he didn't catch that.
No.
Did you catch that
Yes.
clue? You caught that clue. How many numbers are on a dartboard? The answer is 20. You gave. I feel like he gave every number in the 20s except for 20, right? Yeah. All right. Well, good job. Did you like that?
Yeah,
Should we try that again?
Yeah, we can.
We'll do that again. Maybe we'll do that again next week. We'll see. This week in sports history.
This is one of the weirdest ones I can imagine. On This Week in 2006, after NBC Universal got Sunday Night Football, they decided to after they got John Madden's contract, they decided to get Al Michaels, and they did it in a very, very weird way. Now, for those that don't realize, Sunday Night Football back in the day was with ESPN, and Monday Night Football was on ABC, they were both Disney subsidiaries. And around the mid-2000s, there was a bit of a shakeup, and ESPN, the sister channel, got Monday Night Football, and Sunday Night Football went to the rival NBC Universal, which at the time was owned by General Electric and Vivendi. Sunday Night Football. They wanted to make a big splash. They had John Madden there, whose contract with Fox was over. So they wanted to say, hey, we want to have a very big name. So they said, hey, Al Michaels would be pretty cool. And mind you, he was doing Monday Night Football on ABC for 3 decades at this point.
Right.
So they knew they needed to really pry him away. But Universal had something in their inventory that Disney really, really wanted. And they've wanted since the company was founded. They wanted the rights for Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, which was, I'm not joking,
We've been talking a lot about rabbits on the show today.
Oswald was a precursor to Mickey Mouse that Walt Disney made back when he worked for Universal way back in the 20s. There was a whole Charles Mintz had the rights without him knowing, and when Disney created, the Walt Disney Company with his brother Roy, he didn't get back the rights for Oswald, and Oswald just staying in Universal's catalog, just sitting there, not doing much of anything for decades at that point. So they said, hey, you get to have Al Michaels, and we can get the rights of all your Oswald stuff, and that's what happened. And I would say
Al Michaels was traded for a rabbit.
Yes, he was traded for a fictional cartoon rabbit, which for video game fans like myself, Epic Mickey was where Oswald got a big resurgence, like that video game. But Disney hasn't really done that much with them. And granted, there's a walk around with him, and I forget who the love interest was. But I would probably say, even though Al Michaels is no longer with NBC, I think in the long run they won that trade.
I would say so.
Especially as Disney didn't really do much with Oswald.
Absolutely. I would agree with that. Thank you very much, Wiz, and good job today. It's time for the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day, presented by Living Legends Memorabilia. We post a new poll question every Tuesday and Thursday on the Sports Bash Media X/Twitter page. Here is today's question. Who should the Jets starting quarterback be in 2025? And you have four choices, as many times I have four choices. Choice number one is Kirk Cousins. Choice number two is Justin Fields. Choice number three is Sam Darnold. Do we bring him back to the Jets? And choice number four is other. Comment below. And again, I feel the need, as a PSA, if I do a poll question and one of the choices is other, comment below. Wiz, what do people have to do if they pick other?
They have to say it in the comments.
Right. So you can't just check off other. You have to comment below. So if it's not Kirk Cousins, Justin Fields, Sam Darnold, please comment below. I'm going with Justin Fields. Who are you going with?
I think out of those choices, I would say Justin Fields. He makes a lot of sense. We don't know what the Steelers are going to be doing at quarterback, and he's a cheap, young option you can go with. If you're going with...
They get lucky with him.
Yeah, they could. I mean, Darnold, I don't see going back to the Jets. And
No.
Cousins, really? You want to go down the path of an old veteran again? No way. I would not do that.
No. Tony, what do you think?
I want Cousins.
Oh, you see, he just wants me to lose my crap here on the show.
Yes, I do.
He wants me to take this bottle of water and throw it right at your cranium.
That you got to make sure you don't get arrested for assault.
It's got to be on a Thursday show because I want both of you here when this happens. If they sign Kirk Cousins, we have to hope that it's the Wednesday or like come right before the show. The best scenario is, for the most entertainment value, it would have to be on my drive over here from home. I live about 10 minutes from here. And the best thing that could happen for the program, for viral clips, is if the Jets sign Kirk Cousins on my way here to do the show on a Thursday.
The sadist
So
in me.
you're here. Maybe we'll have an in-studio guest, too, that I can scare the crap out of. But that would be ultimately the best, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say the sadist in me kind of wants to see Cousins simply for that reason.
Yeah, get lost. I'm only joking. Living Legends item of the week. I know Wiz didn't see this the other day, but I'm sure he's going to love seeing this now. A Leroy Neiman signed Tom Seaver framed print. An absolutely beautiful piece. And if you want that piece, you can call our friend Warren Heller at Living Legends, and I'm going to give this phone number slowly as to not give out my home phone number like I did once before with this number, 516-826-4000. There we go, 516-826-4000. Let me tell you about what's coming up on the show on Tuesday, and we're going to have some fun with this. It's a great story, and the mother of this young man reached out to me on social media, told me about her son's story, and we are going to have them both in studio on Tuesday. We're going to be joined in studio by 15-year-old Harold Teller. His mom is Daria. When he was 12 years old, he put together a 3-on-3 basketball tournament to raise awareness for mental health and suicide prevention. And coming up in March, Harold will have his third annual 3-on-3 basketball tournament. So it started as an idea at the age of 12, and now he's 15, and it's the third straight year that he's doing this basketball tournament, and we're going to talk to Harold in studio on Tuesday. Next Friday, something very near and dear to my heart, the new Long Island Arena football team and the Entertainment Football Association will be holding an event at the Nassau County PAL headquarters in Hicksville. I'm very proud and happy and overjoyed and nervous and excited. Anything you can describe, any spectrum of emotions that's going through my brain and my body to be the general manager of this team. And we are going to finally announce the name of the team next Friday at the PAL, the Nassau PAL building headquarters in Hicksville. And it's going to be a wonderful event. Some surprises will go on that day. And so if you're in the area and you want to drop by, we're more than happy to have you. It's going to be a very, very fun event with lots of people You may get to see me cry a little bit, welcoming back arena football to the Nassau Coliseum, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And again, from my perspective as the general manager, this is going to be Long Island's team. We're going to have a Long Island head coach. We're going to have a roster full of Long Island players. This franchise is going to be a fabric of our community. So fans, media, local businesses, we'd love to have you behind what we're doing with this brand new football team at Nassau Coliseum starting in June. I know you're very excited about this, right?
I am very excited about it. Looking forward to it a lot. And, that building is like one of my homes because I'm very involved in the PAL.
Yes.
If you don't mind me saying, Peter.
Sure.
It is 167 South Broadway, but the building is actually called the Town of Oyster Bay Athletic Center.
Athletic Center, yes.
So look, and that's more prominent than the actual address, so that might help people find it.
Yes,
so I
it
just
is
wanted
the
to
town of Oyster Bay Athletic Center, and again, it's a wonderful facility, a lot of room. So if you're in the neighborhood, Wiz, have you thought about? Did you send in a suggested name for the team? Did you send one in?
I put in Long Island Sound.
You put in Long Island Sound.
Yeah.
A lot of people put in Long Island Sound. I'm not telling you if it's going to be that or not. You have to find out next Friday at 2:00 when we unveil what this is. Tony, did you enter the online contest?
I did not. I just voiced it on here that I liked the Long Island Bash.
The Long Island Bash. That's right. We did talk about that a couple of weeks ago because it's catchy. It's catchy. I mean, we had a lot of people that sent in that the team should start with Long Island. We had a lot of people start with the team should be called New York, but we will all find out. Well, I know. But we'll all find out together next Friday at 2:00 at the Nassau PAL in the town of Oyster Bay Athletic Center in Hicksville. That will do it for this edition of Sports Bash. Thanks to my guest, Joe Pantorno from AEB New York. Thanks to Tony Walker and everyone here at Governor's Comedy Club. And thanks to Wiz, Vinny Laspinuso, for a double dose of Stump the Wiz today and This Week in Sports History. Sports Bash is presented by Ticketbash.com and the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. Sports Bash is sponsored by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, by Living Legends Memorabilia in Rockville Center, and by the Marty Lyons Foundation. For our entire crew, today consisting of myself, Tony Walker, and Wiz, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Sports Bash is back on Tuesday at 1:00. Have a great weekend, everybody, and no Kirk Cousins.